Hi everyone, my name's Gladys Expuro, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how trauma-informed care can be used to support undocumented Latino immigrants, especially those who have been separated from their families because of immigration raids or detentions. The topic that I chose is supporting undocumented Latino immigrants who have been separated from their families. Undocumented Latinos often go through a lot of things, specifically, ICE raids or ICE detentions, getting separated from family, from their children, from their partners. Right now, with how things are politically with the new administration, these issues have been coming up more often. Um, I think it's essential for us to use trauma-informed approaches here because traditional services often overlook cultural and systemic trauma, which leaves this community underserved. Um, Trauma-informed care is so important. It helps us show up in a way that feels safe and respectful and culturally grounded. And throughout this presentation, I'm going to walk you through the six main trauma-informed principles and how they apply to this specific population. So a little background and context about this specific population. Undocumented immigrants usually live with a daily fear of getting picked up by ICE, going to work, right, and not returning, being separated from loved ones. In the Latino community, family is a huge part of the Latinx culture. Things like familismo, spirituality, and respect are very core values of this specific population. Some of these values that they hold are challenged by policies that break families apart. If you add racism, stress about money, language barriers, it's easy to see why some people don't trust the systems that we have in place or just simply don't feel safe asking for help. So the first trauma-informed care principle that we're going to talk about is safety. Safety to me means helping people feel both physically and emotionally safe. For undocumented clients, that might mean making sure we're super clear about what's confidential in our appointments. Um, Being super clear about, like, is your undocumented status going to be shared with other parties, right? Um, I know for us specifically at Servicios, we do have to collect some of that information depending on our grants and funds, um, because they are specifically tailored to like safety net clients or clients who don't have status. So that is a requirement of ours, and that is something that we are always upfront about. Um, and so that can make clients feel safe knowing, hey, like your information is not moving from here, or hey, we actually do have to report it to these different people. Um, I think also using calming spaces with Spanish language signs, so whether that's decor or that's signs for the bathroom or um, whatever other signs that we have in English translated in Spanish that can make them feel more in control when that trauma does show up for them. The second principle I'm going to be talking about is trustworthiness and transparency. I think within our Latino culture, trust is very big. especially when someone has been let down by systems before. Um, we as providers have to be really real about who we are and what we can and can't do for them. I think it's important for us to not make promises that we can't keep or saying that we can stop like a deportation, right? When it's really out of our hands. And being upfront with that, like what can we do? What can't we do for you? I think just being consistent and following through with what you can help with can build that trust over time. I think peer support is super important. Peer support is all about community. I think people, when we're all together, feel less alone and are able to connect with others that have gone through similar situations. Specifically in the Latinx communities, that could look like, different health promotoras or community groups. Simply just having a space where you can share your stories, your testimonios, um, that can really um, generate a community of people who have been gone through similar situations and can support in their healing. The next one is collaboration and mutuality. So this principle is about doing things with the client and not to them. So being able to help them, go through the steps on their own without you completely taking over and doing it for them. Although, that does feel nice. That doesn't provide them with the tools they need for when you're not there, right? Um, so letting them lead their own process, setting their own goals, and choosing what they want to talk about, and us not imposing our agendas um, in their process, right? If they want to talk about it, they can talk about it, and not us like pressuring them um, to open up about things that they don't want to. And I think the last point to this is that we're not the experts in their lives, they are. And that's why it's important for us to respect their own experiences and things that they have gone through. The next one will be empowerment, voice, and choice. Trauma-informed care is all about helping people feel like they have a say again. A lot of undocumented clients feel like they have zero control over what happens to them. We can we can help pointing out their strengths, teaching them coping skills, and letting them choose how their services work. Um, Little choices can be, what language would they prefer their services in, or at what time works best, after work, before work, during lunch, right? Trying to meet them where they're at in this area and helping them find their voice and feel more empowered to make those decisions. Um, in this last one is about recognizing the bigger picture. Trauma doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's colonization, racism, sexism, and more. Um, so we've got to be aware of how things like religion, gender roles, and family expectations show up in our clients' lives. Specifically in the Latinx culture, there is a lot of machismo and Marianismo, and all of these things are part of the culture that sometimes we may not completely agree with it, right? But it is part of like having that cultural humility, learning a little bit more about what it is that what this means in their own culture and make space for all of it. And coming from a judgment-free space. So just to wrap it up, trauma-informed care helps us show up in a way that's respectful, culturally aware, and healing for our clients. Undocumented Latino clients, specifically those dealing with family separation, um, can really, we can really support their healing process by focusing on their safety, the trust that they feel, the connections that they build with one another, sharing power, our voice, our culture, can really strengthen this healing process for this population. I really think every social worker in immigrant spaces should be trained in this approach. It's just a way to restore trust, dignity, and hope. And this last page is just my references. These include frameworks that are informed by understanding trauma-informed care within the Latinx immigrant community. And that is it. Thank you all.